This is the KİA EV9 Mini. No, I'm just kidding. It's the latest and smallest addition to the EV lineup from KİA, built on the eGMP platform. It's called EV3. In this case, it's the highest trim level called GT-line Long Range. And it's time for a full review. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let's start by walking through the specifications, the important information, the interior, quality, seating comfort, space, practicality, and after that take it for a drive, talk about the driving dynamics, and at the end try to summarize my experience with the car. It shares a lot of similarities but also differences compared to the EV9 and the EV6 built on the same eGMP platform. One is the exterior looks. I mean, it looks a lot like the EV9, but a shrinked version. I think that's pretty obvious from KİA to do that. I mean, after the success of the EV9, I would have done the same thing. I mean, it's bold, it's sporty, it's different, and it's young. So I think it's a good addition to the EV market. It measures 4.3 meters in total length with a wheelbase of 2.7 meters. It weighs 1.9 tons. Between the wheels there is a big battery pack, since this is the long range version, so gross capacity 81.4 kilowatt hours, net capacity 78. It's an NMC pack, so don't charge it to 100% too often. When it comes to range, it can deliver up to 605 kilometers. This one though is running on the GT-line 19-inch wheels, so that shrinks the range down to 563 kilometers. So 2 inches takes away 40 kilometers of range. One of the biggest letdowns and differences compared to its siblings is that this is based on a 400 volt architecture and not the same 800 volt as the other cars has. This means that DC charging, fast charging, will have a top speed of 128 kilowatts, charged from 10 to 80% in 31 minutes. When it comes to home charging, 3-phase support, 11 kilowatts, or more exactly 10.5 as KİA states it. I was hoping for an 800 volt system, but I guess you can't get everything. They need to save money somewhere in the production to be able to have a lower price on the car. Another big difference or semi-letdown is that this car is front-wheel drive only, meaning that there is a permanent magnet motor here at the front, delivering 204 horsepower or 284 newton meters of torque. It does 0 to 100 in 7.9 seconds with a top speed of 170 kilometers per hour. I was hoping for rear-wheel drive, but in this case it's front-wheel drive. But it still has a frunk, so a frunk with 25 liters of boot capacity. So the unique KİA DNA is extra pronounced here at the front, especially when you look at the daylight running lights and headlight units. A unique design that really tells and screams KİA in this case. A sloping bonnet here at the end with a big flat KİA logo on top. A closed grille, of course, with a 360 view supporting camera here in the dark area. Underneath that, in the grille, piano black plastics with the hidden active ventilators. They are currently closed, but all in all, a good looking, sporty looking frontal design from KİA here. And I like the two-tone setup with the black accents together with this color. Looks good. The boxy and flat shape of the rear reminds us of the KİA EV9. A big air spoiler here at the top. The good thing with big air spoilers on electric vehicles is that you can hide the ugly windshield wiper. That's not only a design thing for the looks, it is also good for the air resistance. And third thing is that it's better during winter time because it won't freeze as easy as if you put it here. The taillight design is also very KİA-esque. And this black bar actually hides a backup camera. Underneath that, there is a big flat KİA logo. Here is the opener, powered liftgate on the GT line. The boot stores 460 liters, and that's with the double floor down, so there's 2 positions for that floor. This way, it won't be flat when you fold the rear row. Underneath here you have some additional organizers for storing cables, etc. And a pocket here at the side securing some cargo and the possibility to secure it with straps to the 4 positions all around the boot. And this one, possible to remove. You can't stow it underneath here though. That's unfortunate, so you need to leave it at home or forget it somewhere. Foldable seat, split into two parts, so 40, 60. Unfortunately, and this is a bit disappointing, and at the same time, I'm a bit surprised. I mean, why not add a ski latch at least, or a central part that's foldable? Because you really lose a lot of practicality. Whilst talking about that, it's possible to add a towage with a tow capacity of 1 ton. So let's jump into the rear seat and see how it is. Headroom, as you see, doesn't have a panoramic glass roof. It has a small openable sunroof. I'm able to stretch out and sit very straight and feeling the headliner, but it's dented, so you have a bit of extra room at this point than here at the frontal part. So decent amount of headroom. I mean, I'm 193 centimeters tall, but still not really touching the headliner. So that's good. I can squeeze in 1.5 finger before I really touch it. When it comes to legroom, as you see, it is a bit small, but I mean, for the size of the car, I think this is a decent amount of space actually. My knees are touching, clearly. I'm still able to squeeze my feet underneath the frontal seat here. That's good, and it's in the lowest position. When it comes to comfort, it's a very flat bench, it's perforated. Both outer positions are heated. You control that in 3 steps here at the door. That's convenient, but it's flat and it's fairly short, so it doesn't give you that good thigh support actually. But I didn't expect that in such a small car. I think all in all, the space, the interior space is really decent and good for the size of the car. Materials and quality. This is the two-tone setup. So the beige combined with the gray, darker gray finish. The leatherette is included in the GT-line package, so it's not standard on the lower trim levels. Nice thing is that you have USB-C ports here on the backrest of the front seats, on both sides actually. Here at the middle you have manual adjustable air ventilations, a pocket for storing things or a big bottle, and storage as such. You have these ones, like airplane storage things, and you have the door pockets, also possible storing a bottle, but fairly small pockets here actually. Cushion armrests, that's good. So well cushioned armrests, they are soft, won't hurt your elbow. And this side also hides a cup holder and a armrest. Gets a bit cramped when you fold that down, so if you are too tall you will probably end up having it unfolded. But as I said, 2 cup holders, they are not adaptive, so straight ones, but well cushioned and soft padding on it. So you will probably have a decent ride in this car. I mean, the main purpose of this is probably not to travel long trips, but to do and use it as a city car or a second car. I mean, you can do long trips because it has decent charging and good range for its size. So I think it's a hybrid. You can use it for long trips, but also city driving. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this car is good enough for long travels, or is it just meant for city driving? And one thing that I forgot to mention is the power outlet. This car actually has vehicle to load. Both in the charging port, you can connect an adapter for connecting your appliances, but also a very convenient one here. So this is a choke outlet delivering 16 amps, 230 volts. That can power everything you need actually. You can power your laptop or charge things without relying on USB-C only. So that's really practical and convenient. Frame doors, solid sound. Here at the front, insulation glass or double pane windows for lower or quieter cabin noise or cabin comfort. You will recognize things here at the front. I mean, the instrument panel, the cluster looks a bit similar to the EV9, but smaller of course. I like the mix of the materials. You have the fabrics together with the plastics on the top, flat surface. The 2 screens, Same layout as in the EV9. Two 12.3-inch screens, so that's the instrument cluster. Good color on that one. This is also 12.3-inch, but it's a touchscreen at the same time. Here in the middle you have a 5.3-inch climate control screen, and I complained a bit about that one in the EV9 because when I drive the car I have a hard time actually using it because the steering wheel hides it for me, so when I sit straight I can't really see the functionality. I mean, it's maybe more suitable for the passenger in this case, so I really need to lean to the side to be able to see that one. So I get the point, but a bit misplaced, I would say. Manual air ventilations, and just on top of that there is a control panel for some shortcuts. You have a home button, you have a shortcut to the map, search function. The search function is really good, by the way. Media button, that one is customizable. To the right you also have a customizable one, that's the star. You can pair it or link it to the function you want by holding it for 3 seconds. You will be possible to bind it to something else, for instance changing the dry mode, activating valley mode, switching to radio, stop the route guidance, weather. So there's a lot of things here, you know. You can use the stars for that. Underneath that small control panel there is physical buttons. First off you have the volume knob, the temperature control. There's a 2-zone climate in this car, so the temperature for the driver to the left. You have on and off for the climate control, the mode selector for the climate control also, and temperature for the passenger. In the middle, hazard lights. Underneath that section there is this classic KİA section, and that's the charging or convenience section. You have 2 USB-C ports. The one to the right is only for charging. The one to the left is possible to toggle between daytime charging or only charging. Most to the right you have a hidden 12 volt 800 watt outlet for supporting your devices. The mid console continues downwards and starts with a Qi charger. Works very good for my big Pixel 8 Pro. Good position on that one. 2 active cup holders. You can minimize them to maximize the storage if you don't use them. Otherwise you press this to store your big drinking cups. In front of that, storage area, flat surface for storing things. There is no other storage here in the mid console, so there is more focus on openness than storage here actually. And this one is a tray, so it acts as a tray, and I don't know, I think it's smart, but I would prefer to have like cup holders or maybe some storage here in this one because it's very limited when you look at it. You can use it as a computer tray, so you can put your laptop here and work whilst charging, for instance. The smart thing is that the buttons here are indented, so you won't touch them when you put your computer on top of it. And there's actually 4 functions here. The auto hold function, activating the 360 view, the park assist view, and the parking sensors, activate to deactivate those, and hill descent control most further to the right. So that's the functions you have on top of the tray. It's a very futuristic but easy to use steering wheel because you have a lot of controls on it. To the left, the driver assist functionality, where you activate or deactivate the driver or lane keeping assist functions. You can decrease or increase the speed, deactivate it, switch the content on the instrument cluster. That's all to the left. To the right you have the media controls, the phone controls, the mode selector, but also a customizable star. I have bound that to, let's see, the EV menu, the sub menu for the EV controls. A hidden feature is the volume knob on the steering wheel. If you press that for 3 seconds, you will deactivate the speed limit warning. That's a very smart thing. The easiest way to get rid of the annoying beeps when you drive a bit too fast. You shouldn't do that, but it's hard to avoid. Underneath that, there is a column for the drive mode selector. You have the start and stop button. Most to the left, you turn this to set it into drive or reverse. You press it to put it into park. Conveniently placed. I have had a hard time to actually push the power on button. I think it's a bit too cramped of an area. It's a bit hard to reach. The other last part of the steering wheel is the drive mode selector. That's not the same mode as on the steering wheel. This is the drive mode selector. You press that to toggle between the different modes, as you see in the screen there. And there is a couple of different modes: Eco, Normal, Sport, My Drive, and Snow. Where My Drive is, as it sounds, your customizable function for setting your favorite functions when driving the car. Behind the steering wheel there is 2 paddles to change the regen or recuperation settings. You increase or decrease it. You can even activate the one pedal driving by holding the one to the left for a couple of seconds. iPedal is the name of the one pedal function. The GT-line is also equipped with the Harman Kardon premium sound system. It's an 8-speaker setup, but I must say that I'm impressed by the sound quality. It's warm, it's dynamic and punchy, and when you turn up the volume, it can really play at high volumes without breaking the sound quality. That's not often you see that in such small cars. So a good sound system, if you want a good sound, I think the Harman sound system is something for you, especially in this price class and size of a car. If you check out the setup, there is a sound menu with the equalizer settings. You can set treble, mid-range and bass. It's all set to the midsection or default, but the sound is good in this position. I don't feel the lack of the bass. I don't feel the lack of treble. It is not too edgy, not too metallic. I think it's a decent sound system. The GT-line also includes the relaxation seats. It's more of the premium seats. They are perforated, heated, ventilated. You control that on the door panels here. You also have the steering wheel heater that's included, but also controllable from the control panel here. You have 2 memory slots for 2 different driver profiles. And when it comes to the seats and the comfort of the seats, they are a bit small for me. I mean, it's a small car, so that's probably expected, but the angle is not possible to put more upwards, so I don't get that much of a thigh support, and the seating area is really short, so not the best support for me. There is a lumbar support, and that's good, but it's only X-axis, not Y-axis. And the headrests is really good for its class. They are very soft. I think this is the same ones as in the EV9. That's really good. And you can adjust it height-wise, but also pull it outwards. Despite being a small car, it doesn't feel that small. I mean, in a good way. It doesn't feel too heavy. 1.9 tons, so it's not the most or the heaviest car in the lineup, given the size of the battery. Now it's beeping. I need to turn that off. Good thing, as I mentioned, just hold the volume knob and you will deactivate that annoyance. Very easy. Now I have the steering wheel at stiff. Let's just walk through the different drive modes. You have Eco, Normal, Sport, My Drive. Let's look at My Drive settings. What you can customize on My Drive is how the motor behaves, how aggressive it is on the accelerator. So for instance on Eco, it's picking up a bit slower than when you put it into Sport. It's more nippy, it's more aggressive on sports mode. Now when it's a bit slippery outside, it gives me a lot of wheel spin. I mean, it's front wheel drive. That's one of the downsides with driving front wheel drive EVs. I mean, it's heavy pulling around 1.9 tons with only the front wheels, especially when you floor it. On everyday driving, when it's not slippery on highways, that won't be a problem. But here you feel it. You feel the lack of grip because the tires, 215s, both in the front and at the rear, is not wide enough to handle the torque. I mean, you will lose a lot of acceleration potential. So I'm not sure that you can manage 7.9 seconds, especially not now. I mean, it's too cold outside, so I won't even try doing an acceleration test this time. When it comes to actual range and consumption, I'm going to do another video, as I always do when I test range, charging and cabin noise. So if you're into that and interested in buying this car, I think that's a really important video for you. So I put the link up here when that's available. Let's put it back into Eco because I think that's necessary now. The other setting is the steering wheel. You can set it between normal and sport. And this is the main reason for me to drive it on my drive or my mode, because I always want to keep the steering wheel in sport mode, because I think the feeling of the driving is better. The response in the steering wheel feels better, at least when it's a bit stiffer, because it is not stiff. I mean, in sports mode it's still fairly soft, and in normal it's too sloppy for me. So sport it is. So I tend to use my drive all the time and just toggle between eco, normal and sport. The rest is as it is. A cool thing to save energy is that here on the control panel, even if it's a bit hard to see it, you can press it to only activate the climate zone on the left side, on the driver's side. So if you don't have any passenger, you can press that one and don't need to waste energy on heating up the air at the passenger side. That's a good way to save energy. What I didn't mention is that the GT-line also comes with a head-up display. So you don't only have 3 screens, you also have a head-up display. So you have all the tech you need in this car. I mean, despite being a small car, it's still filled up with all the technology necessities you ever wish for. The 204 horsepower, it's enough for this car. This is not a sports car. It's a small SUV-ish city car. So the horsepower, the torque, the acceleration is more than enough. You'll probably struggle during winter though if you go for studless tires. So when it's a bit slippery outside, it can be a problem. Otherwise, perfectly fine. So now it's warning me and beeping, and that's the driver attention monitor, and it's probably right. I mean, I'm looking too much to the camera, waving with my hands, and it's getting annoyed at me. So it's probably working as it should, but a bit annoying for me. That's also possible to turn off on the driver assistance monitor, driver safety. Let's take it up on the highway. See how it behaves. I mean, it's clearly tuned to be a comfortable car. It is not too stiff, the suspension. It's more towards the softer side, I would say. I mean, there is plenty of body roll and there is also plenty of movement because there's a lot of mass. I mean, when braking, when accelerating, you feel the mass moving. For me, it's a bit too soft. I mean, that's normal because this is a SUV, it's a bit higher, and with that you also get a bit more wobbly car. But it's really comfortable and it's a nice drive feel to it. But if you're looking for something sporty, this is not the car for you. It's almost as soft as the Zeekr X, and that's way too soft for me. This is not really on that level, but not that far from actually. But it handles bumps, uneven surfaces really good because doesn't have any missed sounds, any strange things at all. It behaves, feels well built, feels sturdy. Let's turn on the lane assist. Very easy to turn on, just a single press on the icon here to the left and it activates. You see the illustrations in the head-up display. And by the way, I have found out that the driver monitoring warning is beeping all the time. It's not because of the system is bad, it's because I'm using my hands a bit too much. So when I'm showing things and putting my hand in front of my face, it starts whining immediately. So don't do that. And it's stable. It's a good solution. I mean, it's working really good. And it has been doing that for a couple of years now. I mean, the EV6 I tried out, the EV9, it has a great lane keep assist functionality. It doesn't only keep the distance, it also keeps the lane for you and steers for you. So it's a convenient thing to have on long trips. It feels stable, it feels trustworthy. But the driver monitoring system is way too aggressive for me, so I will turn it off. Stop beeping. And it's possible to turn it off whilst in lane keep assist. That's good, didn't expect that. It also has this classic Kia side view mirror illustration, so it activates the cameras on the side view mirrors. It shows you the image when blinking. Regen, as I said, there is paddles in front of the steering wheel. So to the left, you decrease the regenerative braking or recuperation. To the right, you increase it. So now it's on 0, and 0 is almost as coasting. I mean, you can't coast because it's a permanent magnet motor. So you can't coast by just limiting the regen, but close to, so a very low amount of regen. I used to drive it as much as possible on level 3, that's the highest level of recuperation. And it's linear, it's nice, it's predictable. But I still long press the left pedal to activate the I-pedal mode, and that's the one pedal drive actually. And that's surprisingly good for being a front wheel drive car. I mean, you only have one motor to brake for you, so I guess it adds some amount of real brakes or friction brakes, not only using the actual magnets in the motor. And I think it's good for Kia to put in all this technology and also the drive feel to the car. I mean, it feels so sturdy, it feels sophisticated for such a small car. And that's impressive. Let's drive over some uneven surfaces here. I mean, the cabin noise is still good, the comfort is nice, it handles this in a good way. It's really good for being such a small car. I have said that several times now. So we'll try to summarize my view and my perspectives of the Kia EV3, and I haven't talked about the price point. I mean, starting price 419,000 Swedish crowns or 36,000 euros. That's a good entry-level price. Attractive. I mean, compared to the alternatives on the market, I think it's really a bargain. This one though, 580,000 Swedish crowns or 53,000 euros. That's not cheap anymore. I mean, that's the GT-line long range, glass roof, the exterior extra color, so that's a max spec car. You get everything though. I mean, the head-up display, the Harman Kardon sound system, as I said, the glass roof, the exterior color, the bigger rims, all the tech is included, so it's a really well-equipped car. But for that price point, I really don't know. I mean, there is so many alternatives now that that price point is really, gets it hard to choose. I mean, you get the Kia warranty, 7 years. That can be one of your most important aspects when going for Kia, because of the warranties and because of the brand awareness and the brand quality as such. But if you don't care about that, I mean, then you have the Xpeng G6, you have the Zeekr X, you have the EX30. They also have bigger cars like the Model Y for almost the same price point. So it gets a bit hard to justify the high price of the GT-line long range, at least for me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let us have a discussion about the price point. What I like though, despite being only front wheel drive, I think The one pedal driving is really amazing. That goes for all Kias. I mean, all the settings, all the way from auto, which I hate, on all cars, all the way up to one pedal driving. You have 3 different regen levels and pedal or one pedal on top of that. I think that's how all brands should work with one pedal driving or with recuperation. I think it should be up to the driver to choose and pick its own favorite setting for regenerative braking, because it creates a so different driving experience if you know how to use regen. So I'm really glad to see that Kia is keeping doing that, even on a single motor setup. What I don't like though is it being front wheel drive. I would have wished that Kia went for rear wheel drive. I know that there is probably some cost savings by doing that, because you have the charge port on the right side in the front, you have the motor at the front, you have everything collected under the hood in the front. Makes the manufacturing easier and more cheap, of course. But still, it's a heavy car. 2 15s at the front makes the car understeer, and it also creates some torque steering when accelerating, despite having only like 204 horsepower. So it doesn't give you the best driving experience. That's probably not why you get this car. But anyway, good to know. The second thing that disappoints me is the charging. I haven't tested the charge curve yet, but 400 volt and a big battery pack and still such a low top charge speed of 138 kilowatts. I mean, Kia, Hyundai is known for the really extremely good charge curve, short charge times, 800 volt systems. I missed that on this car because the battery is still big. But I know it's cost savings, but I still want it, at least in this more expensive version. I mean, skip it on the entry-level car, but add it to this one. Would have been a good thing, because you can get 800 volt cars for a price lower than this. Think of that. Think about that. I think that's all. And as I always say, like, subscribe, and engage. And most importantly, stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.